Good evening and welcome. Tonight we'll be going over the history and geography of Tanzania. Also, Topple is here because it is officially Elephant Week on my channel. For the next, actually 8 days, so a week and some change, we're going to be talking about countries that have very large populations of elephants that are very well protected and loved. So, we're going to be celebrating all things elephant. So we're going to start off each video with Topple's amazing ASMR ears. I'm going to go like this, up to the microphone. Let's talk a little bit about Tanzania. So Tanzania is located in Eastern Africa. And, sorry, I'm listening. Hold on. Okay, that's enough. I can't think. That's all I can hear. There's my pencil. Okay, now I'm ready. Tanzania in Eastern Africa is bordered by quite a few countries. Let me move this pen up away. I don't need you anymore. We have this border with Mozambique to the south. It has a very interesting border with Malawi. We'll talk about that in a minute. It has this border here with Zambia. This is the border with the Democratic Republic of the Congo. There's a border with Burundi and Rwanda. And then up here we have Uganda, right through the lake. And then this border with Kenya. So let's start up north with geography, and then I'll go over its history, and then I'm actually going to grab my tablet and show you some Google Earth pictures of beautiful Tanzania. Let's start off in one of the most well-known places in Tanzania, up here in this northern corner here. The Great Rift Valley splits in two, and both parts run through Tanzania. There's this part right here, and this part right here that kind of goes down that way. So, the Great Rift Valley, if you don't know, is plates under the earth that's moving around. The Great Rift Valley, I'm trying to talk too fast. The Great Rift Valley is an area where the plates are breaking apart. So the land has been ripping apart across this area of Africa. That creates a lot of really interesting landscapes, I suppose. It creates volcanoes, it creates valleys, lakes, of course, rivers, all kinds of things. So this area is no exception. Tanzania is home to Mount Kilimanjaro. And it's not just the highest point in Tanzania, it is the highest point in Africa. It's the roof of Africa. It's also the highest freestanding mountain, meaning a mountain that's not part of any range, just kind of there. But it's an extinct volcano. There's quite a few extinct and a couple of active volcanoes in this area. An extinct volcano I want to mention is right about here. It's the Gorogoro Crater, which, as you can imagine by the name, has sunken down to a crater. It's not a mountain, it's low. But it's an absolutely gorgeous place, and the whole crater's filled with all kinds of animals and life, plants, all sorts of wonderful things. It's a beautiful little corner of the world. It's also where you can find Olduvai Gorge, which, if you've seen a lot of my older history videos like Lost Cities, Ancient Tombs, and the history timelines, so on and so forth, I've mentioned it quite a few times. It's where many ancient humans and ancient hominin bones have been found, and their tools. And I think that's where Homo habilis was found, actually, was in Olduvai Gorge. So we'll talk about that first thing in its history, of course. Let's see what else is up here. We have Lake Victoria. Tanzania has part of Lake Victoria being the largest lake in Africa. And here's Lake Tanganyika, which Tanzania has part of. Lake Tanganyika is the deepest lake in Africa, which means Tanzania is home to the highest and lowest points in Africa. And down here is Lake Nyasa, or on the other side of the border, it's known as Lake Malawi. It's quite a bit of, not really like intense contention, but contention nonetheless. All in between here is a vast plateau kind of plain, right in between the rifts. Lots of grassland, lots of national parks in this area, and pretty much any kind of basic African animal you can think of lives in this area here. You've got lions, of course, elephants, giraffes, leopards, rhinos, I mean all of them. All the apes, all the birds, all the snakes, everything you can think of with Africa, you can find right here. You can also find the capital city of Dodoma right here. One of those places where this became the capital, so it's more centralized. Before it was this, Dar es Salaam, which is the largest city in Tanzania, right here on the coast. So along the coast here is a lot of history. It's known as the Swahili Coast. We're going to talk about it quite a bit in history. Also out here we have quite a few islands. We have the island of Zanzibar. There's also Pemba and Mafia, and lots of little smaller ones along the coast here. The area for the most part, because a lot of rivers run off into the ocean here, and there's quite a lot of plant life, as you can see. It gets a little more jungly, not so plain savanna-y area. There's quite a few mangrove swamps along the coast as well. So let me see. Oh, and I should also mention Arusha up here is a very important city for quite a few reasons. Probably the most important is that it's the home of the East African community, which is sort of, I would say it's like what The Hague is to Europe, Arusha is to East Africa. It's sort of a more diplomatic place where different countries in the area can come together to resolve issues. So it's important in that aspect. And I think that's all I wanted to mention for geography for now. I'm going to talk about a lot more in my video tomorrow. I'm going to read from this book in tomorrow's video. You can learn more about Tanzanian culture. So we'll talk a lot more. I'll talk about the Tanzanite stones that are mined up here and lots of other things. So let's go right into history. So like I said, we're going to start in the Olduvai Gorge in the Ingorogo Crater, where, like I said, many bones and tools of ancient hominins have been found, are very, very distant early ancestors. So I always say in my countries, people have been living here since forever, literally since forever, since the dawn of humanity, people have been living in Tanzania. And the area would slowly become occupied by many different ethnic groups. First to move in would have been the Khoisan hunter-gatherer kind of communities. Later, some southern Cushitic people from up here in this area. Some southern Nilotic people. Nilotic referring to the Nile, so about up here. So let me move this real quick. Up here, so this would have been the Cushitic area. And eventually Bantu, which would have come from over there, but they spread out all across Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa. Here we go. And eventually Eastern Nilotes, I should say, from kind of over there. So many, many different groups moving into this area. Of course, it's very fertile and lush and tons of resources. So, of course, it's a perfect place for your tribe to move into. So today there are over 130 different ethnic groups. They're all varieties of those peoples I just mentioned. They're mostly Bantu, but all of them are included. In the first millennium CE, Persian traders arrived on the coast from what's now Iran, what was then Persia. And that's when contact began with the Middle East / Arab communities up there in Western Asia. And that's when this area would become known as the Swahili Coast. Swahili is a language that sprung up as a combination of all of the different languages coming together in this area, along with some Arabic as well from the Arabs that came in. So there's no ethnic group that traditionally spoke Swahili. It's not really known where Swahili officially began. It was just the language of the trading communities along the coast here. The most important ones would have been Zanzibar, on the island of Zanzibar, and also Kilwa down here. It's a tiny island just off the coast here, where I think it was a sultan at that time, had a huge castle where he had a huge area in front of it where people would do all the trading. They would just sail up with their goods, do the trading, and it was a very, very prosperous area over here. It became very important to the Arabs in terms of a lot of things, mostly spices. Zanzibar is known as the Spice Island, specializing in cloves for the most part, but all kinds of different spices. And it's also where they transported a lot of slaves, and people would go far into the interior and up here and capture people and bring them back, mostly to Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar, to send out into the Asian world over here. The Omanis actually liked Zanzibar so much that in 1840 they made Zanzibar city its capital, and it became very, very wealthy from the slave trade at this point. It was eventually abolished, and I want to say 1890, just because it was very, very prosperous. The Germans were the first European power to get involved in the area. They claimed what's now Tanzania as part of German East Africa. And the people here obviously didn't like that. Famously, there was a rebellion known as the Majimaji Rebellion from 1905 to 1907. The British took over Zanzibar because they were taking over Oman. Not only taking over, but making it a protectorate, which was pretty much the same thing. The Anglo-Zanzibar War broke out because of that. The world's shortest war. I think it was only 37 minutes long. But anyway, it fell under British jurisdiction. It became a protectorate of Britain, but still ran by Omani Arabs for the most part. After World War I, Germany famously lost. So in 1919, when the world powers were figuring out what to do with all of Germany's territories, they decided to award this area to Britain, which the Belgians apparently were very bitter about, because they controlled what's now the DRC over here, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So they thought they naturally should have this area as well. Britain compromised by giving them this area, which then was known as Burundi, Rwanda. And I guess the Portuguese were kind of upset too, so they got some southern territory because Portugal owned Mozambique. So that's how we get these lines here. And the area became officially known as Tanganyika after the lake. There we go. Sorry, just checking my notes real quick. Let's hop to 1954. A man named Julius Nerari formed a labor movement, which would become a political party known as TANU, was the Tanganyika African National Union. It was a party that pushed for independence, which would eventually come on December 6, 1961, as Britain was slowly releasing all of its colonies and territories. and Nyerere became prime minister, later president, when it switched to republic not long after. And Zanzibar had a revolution, overthrew their Omani rulers, and declared independence in 1963. Their elections did not go very smoothly. There were lots of riots and very bad things happening. So they made the decision to merge with Tanganyika in 1964. And they renamed the country to Tanzania after Tanganyika, Zanzibar, and so it sounds like a fancy country name. Tanzania. Zanzibar is still autonomous. They're part of Tanzania, but they have their own government and president and all those kinds of things, their own flag, so on and so forth. So, Julius Nerari had an issue in that he was now the president of an area that contained 120 plus ethnic groups that were very different, very unique. Some similarities, but there were lots of issues going on in countries in this area about ethnic differences. So he knew he had to do something before it got bad, like it did in a lot of countries around here. So in 1967, he released the Arusha Declaration, which did quite a few things, but the most important thing is the Ujamaa policy, which was more of an... Sorry, my cough drop is finishing up, so I'm going to crunch it real quick. It implemented some socialist policies into the government, not like full socialism, but some collectivizing farming techniques and a more socialist economy. There goes my cough drop. Okay, sorry if that bothered you. But it also promoted a concept of Pan-Africanism, in that people should identify more as African, then Tanzanian, and then their ethnic group. That there's a bigger picture involved, And that very much has led to really not any ethnic conflict happening in Tanzania. It's all about togetherness and unity, all those wonderful things. In 1977, TANU, the political party, joined with the major political party of Zanzibar, the Afro-Shirazi Party, and they formed their own new party. It's called the Chama cha Mapinduzi. And it's been the reigning political party technically since the beginning of independence. Every president up until today, that's not how I should have said it. Every president in the history of Tanzania has been from that party. There we go. Just trying to rephrase things relaxingly, especially for what's coming up next. So we're bordering Uganda here. Uganda at this point had been overthrown by a really horrific dictator named Idi Amin. And he made the mistake in 1978 to invade Tanzania. Tanzania was not happy about this. They invaded back, took over the government, got Idi Amin out of power. He fled the country and thankfully saved the country of Uganda from, I think it was 9 years of really, really terrible dictatorship. In the 1990s, Tanzania adopted more of a market economy, really gave it a bit of a boost. Tanzania is still a middle to low kind of economy. How do I phrase that? They're like a second world country, I suppose. They're not dirt poor, but they're not super rich either. But they're managing and doing very well, I would say. In recent news in 2021, the president, at the time President Magufuli, passed away while in office. So his vice president became president. Her name's Samia Suluhu Hassan, and she's the first female president of Tanzania. And that's pretty much it. So let me grab my tablet and we'll look at beautiful, beautiful Tanzania. All right. So here we are in Tanzania. And right away you can see the difference in the landscape up here from the Great Rift Valley. Look how unusual and pitted it is. It's actually mostly volcanoes. And the sort of plains here, the plateau in the middle, mountains, and the lakes, of course, this part of the Rift Valley. Let me start by zooming out. I'm going to select Tanzania there so we can have a pin. I'm going to zoom out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. We're in this corner of Africa. And let's start off at Kilimanjaro. I think we have to. It's kind of iconic. Let's move to 3D so we can see it. Wow. Very famously, it's a snow-capped mountain, perpetually snow-capped, which, as you can see here, it's sadly kind of melting away. It's a global warming thing. But the early Europeans, when they discovered it, and went back to Europe and said, hey, we found a mountain covered in snow, the people there didn't believe them. Because it's so close to the equator in a tropical area, how could there be snow, But here we are. So let's look at some pictures. Kilimanjaro. Ooh, that's neat. Up on the peaks there. Oh, how beautiful. That's gorgeous. That's when you're at the very tippy top. Oh, wow. It's so beautiful, isn't it? There's lots of little signs along the trail. Oh my gosh, stop. That's beautiful. Wow, what a great photo. It's just a very beautiful place. Oh, we better run, zebras. Stars and everything, all the snow. There's still glaciers on top of the mountain as well. And I was reading a review of the mountain, basically. People say that, you have to take a guide if you're climbing the mountain because it gets pretty treacherous. I mean, you have to camp. It takes you longer than a day to climb it. Sweet elephants down here. Wasn't that cool? There's 2 other peaks on the side of it. I'll talk more about Kilimanjaro in tomorrow's video, but there's one of them. Oh, that's the end of that slideshow. Let me see. Because, yeah, this is the slideshow I looked at before. Because there's a big sweet elephant behind the beautiful mountain. Let's see. Show you some more little interesting pictures. The trail there. And at the very beginning of the trail. And at the very, very beginning, your first steps. But yeah, it's a really fascinating place to climb. I kind of want to do it someday. It seems like a lot, but out of the group of 5 highest peaks in the world, right? 6 highest peaks? Anyway, apparently it's the easiest one to climb. Let's do a little view here. See if we can't stand on top of Africa. Let's see. Come back. Yeah. Let's see what we get. Let's pick a random spot and look at the top. Oh my goodness. Oh. There's a sign saying that we have made it on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. And look at this view. These are clouds. Up in the sky, there's a glacier. Absolutely incredible, right? And lots of snow in that picture too, huh? It's a beautiful, beautiful mountain. There's a little crater. But let's move on to the Ingorogo Crater, since it's just nearby. There's Mount Meru, another volcano in the Arusha National Park. And then we go over here, and it's right here. Look at this. Is that not incredible? So this is the Gorogoro Crater. Let's take a look at some pictures. Let's pick this one. Have I seen this slideshow? I'm not sure, but oh my goodness, how absolutely gorgeous. Little zebras. Ooh, big tough lion. Like I said, there's water buffalo. You can find every kind of typical Africa animal. The big 5 are here. Look at the hippos in the water. go on safari on the crater, or wildebeest, or new hippos. Oh, how sweet. Lions. And what are they called? Like the cranes. Oh, I forget. They have a really simple names. I can never remember it. An ostrich. Ooh, a dead buffalo. There's this cool lookout spot. I was looking at reviews of Ngorogoro as well, and this is like a really popular spot for photos because you can see like the whole width of the crater. Isn't that something? How cute. Little monkeys. Oh, that's awesome. Beautiful plant life. All those wonderful things. And then I don't know if it'll pop up on here, but it's near here. I want to say it's about here is the, oh no, here it is. The Olduvai Gorge, right? I believe so. I don't think you can actually go visit the archaeological sites because they're still digging up things there, but there is a little museum over there you can explore. But that's one of the places where humankind began, is in this really fantastic place. Isn't that beautiful? Let's check out, I don't want to end up in Kenya. Here's Lake Victoria. And in the video tomorrow, I'm going to mention Ujiji, which I have lost. It's over here somewhere. I think it's over here. I've lost it. Anyway, it's a town. Let me zoom out. Surely I can find it. Isn't it over here? Maybe. I'm not sure. I've lost it. It's somewhere around here on the coast. But it's where a lot of slavers would go to find people and kidnap them and make them walk from the coast here all the way to Dar es Salaam, which, like, wow, that's horrifying, you know, but that's the history. Beautiful, beautiful lake. Sad I can't find it. I've gotten lost. Oh well. Anyway. Very incredible little lake here. 416A Village. They couldn't even have a name. They're just... Do you think you have a picture of the 416A Village? Probably not. Nope. Interesting. I wonder what that's about. But let's go. What should we look at next? Let's check out... We're gonna end up in Rwanda if we're not careful. We are in Rwanda. Here we go. We're all turned around. Lake Tanganyika. The big mountain there. And like, it's such a huge lake. I know that's Burundi. But you know, you hear about the African Great Lakes region, and it's like, okay, but man, these lakes are so incredibly huge. And to think that, like, this is like the big deep lake too. Remarkable. I wonder if we can highlight it and see some photos of Lake Tanganyika. Can we? I don't think so. I think it would have popped up by now. Darn. Oh well. Let's go check out. There's Lake Malawi or Lake Nyasa, whichever you want to call it. And let's head up to Dodoma. There's the Serengeti up there, so we went way too far north. Let me zoom out so I don't get too lost. We've been wandering. Boom, I think we're right there. Yeah, there we go. Dodoma, the capital city, which, as you can see, is a big hustle-bustle city, as most capital cities are. There's the big airport. And yeah, should we do a random street view? Let's find a random spot, like this one. No, okay. Let's go. Oh yeah, there's these cool rocks too over here. Like, check it out. I wonder if we can... Here, let's just... Oop. I don't think random street view is going to work. Let me show you some pictures of Dodoma, though. You can see those big old rocks. Big hustle bustle city. There's the big old rocks. Isn't that cool? There's Nerari. And, oh yeah, I remember this slideshow. The rest of these pictures are all of this mosque, which is a very nice mosque, but a lot of pictures of the one mosque. Anyway, there's Dodoma, and let's head over to Dar es Salaam and see the coast. I'm just going to go this way. There it is. Dar es Salaam, the largest city in Tanzania, one of like the major African cities. There's the big airport. Oh, the dog is going off. And yeah, there's the big harbor right here. And as you can see, it's a bit swampy, huh? Why don't we check out Zanzibar? There's lots and lots of history here. I'm going to show you Stone Town, which is like the historical center. First, let's go here. This church here, really beautiful. It was built on top of the big slave market, so there's lots of memorials to that. Look at this. That's so powerful, right? The slave quarters under the church there, memory for the slaves. In Zanzibar, they have a tradition of having really huge, intricate doors. It's really interesting, but gorgeous building. There's a museum there, a slave chamber there. You can kind of see what life was like. That's the founder of the church. And yeah, very important place here. Ooh, some cool art. There's some Tinga art. We'll talk about that tomorrow too. Over here, oh, first of all, that's where Freddie Mercury was born. Isn't that neat? Love Freddie Mercury, love Queen, one of my favorite bands of all time. The People's Palace Museum. Let's check that out. So this is one of the museums in Stone Town about its really incredible history. I'm pretty sure this was a palace of sorts. Probably for this guy, right? For the Omani Sultan. So you can see some of the shipping from the top there. Some of the old furniture. You know, whenever I'd go to historic houses like this that have all the furniture set up, even though you can't touch it, it's all roped off, I like to pretend I'm like on House Hunters. And I'm like, you know, looking for, pretty, to see if like this is a good fit. I'm pretending that I'm like looking to buy it. It's fun. It makes historic house tours a little bit more fun. Look at that archway. Very Arab, right? Lots of really cool classic cars here. I'd be like, I'd probably paint the floor, you know, that bright red is kind of harsh. Anyway, next to the museum is a really interesting place we're going to talk more about tomorrow called the House of Wonders. And it was a palace that was built in, I want to say, like the 1860s, I want to say. There's a cool fort here. They do like shows and things. Kind of makes me wonder if this was like a slave trading venue before. I don't know. The House of Wonders, though, very sadly had a disastrous collapse on this wing of the house in 2020. It's still under construction, so the museum inside's closed. But, yeah, you can see it's under repairs there, but I think there's some pictures of before it collapsed. Some old cannons. You'll see some tomorrow. See, they're trying to rebuild it. Very sad. Wow, there's a huge Dow inside. How neat. Stone Town buildings. Outside, there's the big old door, right? Classic. A little graveyard outside. But yeah, apparently, like, restoration problems have been ongoing, which led to, see, this is what it looked like before. How incredible. which, like, in this corner of Africa, a building like this was completely unheard of, and it had running water, it had an elevator, like, it was really, really special place. So, yeah, but you'll hear all about it tomorrow. But yeah, what was I saying? That renovations have been really iffy and really problematic, and then it led to part of the building collapsing. So, yeah. And then, of course, you have the beaches, right? You gotta have the beaches. But I'm gonna leave it there. Actually, no, wait. Let's look at Kilwa real quick. There's not a lot of pictures of it, but it's still a neat place. And then we'll call it a night. There's Comoros. That's Mozambique. I saw Portuguese. Kilwa. So you can see these little islands out here, or some really cool trading islands. And over here we can see the ruins of a palace. I wonder if it'll clear up so we can actually see. So they would, dock, bring their goods up here, and do trading. So people from all over the Indian Ocean coast would come and trade. Isn't that neat? There's not a lot of photos. There's the ruins of an old mosque too, which that's really cool. But yeah, we're gonna leave it there for tonight. So thank you so much for watching. Look how swampy. Wow, it's so neat. Beautiful, right? Wow. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. Look out for tomorrow's video. It's really a neat one. And I hope that you have a very good night.